Everything in the universe begins with a spark, a thought, an image, a silent act of inner will that, without you even noticing, sets invisible forces in motion, forces capable of transforming your entire life. That spark is intention, and Joseph Murphy called it one of the highest powers of the human being, the power to create from the mind. In this text you will discover a truth many sense but few master. You do not attract what you desire. You attract what you intend. Your intention is the architectural blueprint that your subconscious turns into form, experience, and destiny. It is the silent command you give the universe every time you feel, affirm, and believe in a specific direction. Intention is the law that governs mental creation. It is the force that gives birth to miracles. It is the impulse that turns a simple thought into matter, opportunity, change, life. When your intention is clear, your mind becomes a magnet. When your intention is strong, reality rearranges itself. And when your intention is sustained, nothing can prevent the invisible from becoming visible. This text is a guide to awakening that power. Here you will learn to direct your mind instead of being directed by chance. You will learn to plant ideas that flourish, to dissolve beliefs that block, to program your subconscious so it works for you day and night. You will learn to turn your life into a conscious, deliberate, profoundly personal creation. Prepare to understand why some people move forward with almost supernatural clarity, why others seem blessed with luck, and why when you align your intention with your faith, your emotion, and your action, the entire universe conspires in your favor. This is not just a text, it is a key, a map, a revelation. Welcome to the law of intention. Welcome to the supreme power that will allow you to create your life from the inside out. The law of intention, the power to create your life. Based on the teachings of Joseph Murphy, we have noticed that more than 80% of those who visit our channel are not subscribed. You can support this project by clicking the subscribe button and giving this video a like. Thank you for inspiring us to continue creating more and better content for you. Before we continue, let me remind you that if you want to learn how to use the law of attraction to improve your life, I've created a completely free guide for you. You have the link in the description. Are you ready to transform your life? Chapter 1. The Law of Intention, the Invisible Engine of Your Life. In the vast archives of the human mind, where the deep roots of every thought, every emotion, and every visible event reside, there exists a higher principle that silently governs the unfolding of your life: intention. Most men and women, when confronted with the great questions of existence, tend to look outward for the causes of their successes or failures, interpreting the turns of fortune as whims of an external fate or the designs of invisible forces. Yet, those who take the time to honestly examine the threads that weave the tapestry of their days will discover that every experience, whether joy or sorrow, health or illness, abundance or lack, has its origin in an internal intention, often unconscious, which operates as the engine of visible manifestation. In this chapter, we will meticulously dissect the process by which intention, that invisible and dynamic force, becomes the primary cause of everything that enters your daily experience. Nothing that happens to you is accidental or arises outside your inner consent, although most of the time that consent operates in the recesses of your subconscious, far from the watchful eye of reason. Here is the first secret. Every human life is, in truth, the constant externalization of a deep, persistent, and silent intention that guides your steps, even when you are unaware of it. When we read in sacred texts, "As a man thinks in his heart, so is he," we are not encountering a phrase of comfort or a literary flourish, but a spiritual law that governs with the same precision with which the law of gravity regulates the movement of the stars. The heart, referred to in the scripture, is truly your innermost core, the repository where all intentions germinate. Nourished by beliefs, emotions, and habits, these intentions eventually take the tangible form of events in your life. Modern mental science corroborates this ancient assertion. Every thought, when clothed with sufficient emotional charge and repeated consistently, penetrates the subconscious, where it becomes an operative directive seeking expression in the material plane. Thus, intention is not a fleeting wish or a rootless fantasy, but an inner act of deep assent, a silent decree of your being, granting permission to that which will later bloom in your outer world. The key then lies in recognizing that in every moment you are the architect of your own destiny. For no experience can manifest in your life unless it has first been welcomed, even secretly, by the power of your intention. Allow me to illustrate this principle with the clarity of an agricultural analogy, for the human mind essentially functions like the soil in which invisible seeds are sown. Suppose a farmer, upon the arrival of spring, selects a plot and plants seeds of wheat. He does not doubt the process. He knows through experience and observation that if he tends the soil, waters the seeds, and protects them from adverse elements, the harvest is inevitable. He does not question whether the grain will grow, for he understands the law: what you sow, you shall reap. The same is true of intention within the realm of the mind. When you consent to an idea, when you hold it with the conviction and emotion that give it life, you have planted a seed in the fertile ground of your subconscious. The result, be it health, prosperity, failure, or suffering, will in time be the natural harvest of what you have sown internally. This is why, at times, you are surprised by the results that appear in your life. Whether favorable or adverse, you may not remember the precise moment when you planted the cause. Every effect has an invisible and mental root, intention. In my practice as a spiritual counselor and mind scientist, I have witnessed countless cases that demonstrate the truth of this law. I recall a woman who came to me suffering from a condition deemed chronic by doctors. For years, she had harbored in her mind the conviction, reinforced by her family environment and childhood experiences, that she was a weak person, prone to illness. Unknowingly, she had consented to a deep-seated intention, to live under the dominion of weakness. Her words were always, "I have no energy. I am always sick." This statement, repeated over the years and reinforced by the emotion of fear, became the dominant seed in her subconscious. When I helped her understand that by changing her intention she could radically transform her physical state, she began the process of reprogramming her inner mind. She learned to affirm with faith. "My intention is to live in perfect health. Every cell of my body responds to my intention for well-being." She repeated it daily, especially before sleep, when the conscious mind relaxes and the subconscious is most receptive. Within a few months, her health visibly improved. Doctors spoke of spontaneous remission, but she and I knew that what had occurred was the inevitable manifestation of a new intention, planted and nurtured with perseverance. This experience illustrates, without doubt, that intention is the invisible cause that precedes every visible effect, and no external remedy can ever be more powerful than inner consent. Pause for a moment and ask yourself, what intentions have you planted in the hidden soil of your mind? How many times have you affirmed, perhaps in resignation or despair, phrases like, "Nothing ever works out for me, I will always lack money, nobody understands me"? These words, far from being mere complaints, are acts of mental sowing, and the subconscious, impartial and obedient like the earth, accepts every seed without judgment. That is why the person who consciously sows failure inevitably reaps it, just as the one who cultivates hope harvests results in accordance with that expectation. This is not a moral judgment or a matter of deserving. It is simply a law that operates with absolute precision, regardless of your conscious opinions or beliefs. This is the great revelation that many are not ready to accept. No external force can impose an experience in your life that has not first been permitted by your inner intention, even if it remains hidden deep within you. The reason so many men and women live in repetitive cycles of painful experiences, scarcity, or illness is that they are unaware of the hidden mechanism of intention. Many believe they desire health, prosperity, or well-being, yet harbor contradictory intentions dictated by old habits, ancestral fears, or inherited beliefs. True intention is not a superficial aspiration or a shallow wish, but an internal conviction held with perseverance and nourished by emotion. The subconscious, the executor of your intentions, does not distinguish between what you consciously desire and what you fear or reluctantly accept. If the dominant intention in your life is to avoid pain, your attention will focus on fear, and your inner mind will seek to confirm that expectation. If, on the other hand, you cultivate the intention to experience well-being and fulfillment, all your psychic energy will align in that direction, and external events will begin to reflect this new decree. Over the centuries, great sages, mystics, and scientists have revealed this principle in various forms. Yet the essence remains the same. Your life is the inevitable result of your dominant intentions. The secret lies in discovering and changing those unconscious intentions that are often responsible for your greatest sufferings. This requires practicing detached self-observation, questioning old thought patterns, and above all, establishing a sincere dialogue with your inner self. Ask yourself fearlessly, what am I allowing in my life? To what am I saying yes, even through fear or habit? This awareness is the first step to taking control of your destiny, for you can only transform what you recognize as your own. Do not be misled into thinking that empty affirmations or superficial wishes for a better life are sufficient. Intention, to be effective, must be accompanied by conviction, emotion, and repetition. Plant the seed of a positive intention every day. Visualize it in detail, feel it as a present reality, and affirm firmly. My intention is to live in harmony, health, and prosperity. Do so at moments of greatest mental receptivity, upon waking and before sleep, when the doors of the subconscious are open. Observe how, over time, your outer world begins to reorganize around the new intention. Do not be impatient if results are slow to appear, for every seed requires a period of gestation before bearing fruit. Just as a farmer does not dig the soil daily to check if the grain is growing, you must trust the invisible process operating within the inner planes. Allow me to share a simple yet revealing parable. A man sowed wheat seeds in his field, and through carelessness or ignorance, allowed seeds of weeds to infiltrate as well. Over time, both plants grew and mingled in the harvest. The man lamented the poor results, forgetting that he himself had consented, albeit unintentionally, to the sowing of weeds. The mind works in the same way. Every intention, good or bad, produces its own fruits. The only way to ensure a desired harvest is to sow attentively, remove the weeds of thought, and diligently cultivate the seeds of good. Reflect, how many weeds have you allowed in your mental field? How much time do you devote to cleaning and nourishing the soil of your intentions? Intention, understood in its depth, is not a superficial technique or an exercise of forced will, but an inner alignment with the universal laws governing creation. When you comprehend that all that is visible results from an invisible cause, and that this cause is you in your inner dimension, you regain the power to direct your life toward the destiny you consciously choose. No external force, however great it may appear, can resist the firmness of a clarified and sustained intention. Electrons, cells, circumstances, and even the people around you will respond as if obeying an invisible script, the silent order issued by your dominant intention. I want you to understand, with all possible logic and rationality, that you are not a leaf blown by the wind, nor a victim of circumstances, but the silent architect of your experience. Every repeated thought, every word charged with emotion, every act of inner consent is an order received and executed by your subconscious without hesitation. Thus, if illness has governed your body, examine the intentions you have held about your health. If scarcity has been your companion, scrutinize the intentions you have accepted regarding money and abundance. If your relationships are conflictive, seek the intentions, perhaps inherited or learned in childhood, that govern how you relate. Only then can you untangle the knot of effects and regain control from the cause that always resides in your intention. Allow me to close this chapter by revealing a secret sought by many in ancient books, rituals, or distant teachers. True transformation begins when you take full responsibility for your intention. No magic, talisman, or prayer can replace the power of a mind convinced of its own mastery. When intention is conscious, firm, and repeated, it becomes law for your subconscious, which in turn moves all invisible threads of reality, so that the harvest corresponds in every detail to the seed planted. Thus the law of intention manifests silently yet infallibly as the invisible engine of your life. Become the master of your destiny. Examine your intentions. Select with discernment the seeds you plant in your mind each day and recognize in every experience the logical consequence of your inner consent. Yes, you will not only understand the hidden mechanism of creation, but from now on, you can direct your life toward fullness, health, and abundance, knowing that every experience begins and ends in the invisible realm of intention. Chapter 2. Your mind, the soil where intention germinates. To understand the profound workings of the law of intention, it is essential to pause and examine the nature and structure of your mind, the vast territory where all experiences of your life germinate, grow, and ultimately manifest. Just as a farmer does not sow at random, but first studies the quality of the soil, prepares it, nourishes it, and protects it from pests and weeds, the human being who aspires to transform their reality must know and prepare their own mental field. Not every seed thrives in every soil. Some grounds are so barren that even the best seed perishes, while in fertile soil, even the smallest seed grows into a robust tree. In this way, the human mind, composed of invisible layers and strata, acts as the stage on which intentions are sown, and if properly nurtured, will eventually manifest in tangible outcomes. At its basic structure, the mind can be compared to two main regions, the conscious mind and the subconscious mind. The first, the superficial mind, is the one you use daily to reason, choose, compare, decide, and analyze. It is logical, discursive, and examines things under the light of critical judgment. It formulates desires that are often fleeting, born of transient emotions, immediate impulses, or external impressions. For example, upon seeing another person enjoy material success, you might experience a sudden desire for wealth or fame. But if this desire does not take root in the deeper levels of your being, it soon vanishes like a gust of wind brushing the surface of a lake, leaving no trace. This is superficial intention, a desire often sincere, yet rootless, lacking sufficient emotional charge, repetition, or true conviction. In contrast, the subconscious mind, the hidden and boundless repository where all your beliefs, impressions, habits, and repeated emotions are stored, is the true soil where deep intentions germinate and develop. Unlike the conscious mind, the subconscious does not analyze, criticize, question, or debate. It simply receives, accepts, and executes orders that are delivered consistently and charged with emotion. Hence the supreme importance of understanding that what truly governs your experience is not fleeting desire or superficial intention, but the deep conviction you have planted, often without realizing it, in your subconscious. If the conscious mind is the sower, the subconscious mind is the soil that makes the seed germinate. And it does not distinguish between noble seeds and weeds. Both will grow with equal force if given proper attention and nourishment. Let me illustrate this difference with a simple experiment whose logic you can observe in your own life. Imagine a man who, at the start of the year, sets out to lose weight. His conscious intention is sincere. He writes down his goal, buys sportswear, joins a gym. During the first few days, his desire motivates and sustains him. But at the slightest setback, a social meal, a negative emotion, fatigue, the old subconscious programming formed over years of habits, beliefs, and negative self-definitions quietly asserts itself. I have always been heavy. No one in my family is thin. The superficial intention gives way to deep conviction, and the apparent failure of his goal is not due to a lack of willpower or the universe conspiring against him. It is simply that the subconscious soil was neither prepared nor reprogrammed to sustain the new intention. The final outcome is the product not of what he consciously wished for, but of what he consented to deeply. Now, how can one distinguish between superficial desire and true intention? Superficial desire is reactive, born out of contrast or envy, lasting only as long as the accompanying emotion, and not rooted in the individual's deep identity. True intention, on the other hand, is an inner feeling, a conviction sustained through perseverance, emotion, visualization, and repetition. It is a mental image that you have accepted as possible, desirable, and above all, a legitimate part of your life. That is why all real transformation begins by modifying the content of your subconscious, which requires not only conscious intention, but also emotional work, affirmations, visualizations, and constant repetition. For intention to be effective, it must descend from the superficial mental plane into the fertile soil of the subconscious, where it operates without resistance or internal sabotage. In my years of counseling, I have received numerous testimonies illustrating the difference between these two kinds of intention. I recall the case of a young man who, after years of unsuccessful attempts to pass a professional exam, came to me seeking guidance. His words were telling, "I want to pass, I try hard, But every time I sit for the exam, my mind blanks, and everything disappears. Exploring his personal history, a subconscious belief emerged, instilled in childhood by remarks from family and teachers. You're not smart enough. Exams are not for you. Repeated and emotionally charged over the years, this belief had become a deep-seated intention, a self-image that silently governed his performance. I advised him that before any additional study, he must reprogram his subconscious mind through daily repetition of affirmations such as, "My mind retains and reproduces information with ease. I pass my exams successfully. I feel capable and calm." Alongside this, I suggested guided visualizations, imagining himself already approved, receiving congratulations, feeling the joy and relief of achieving his goal with discipline. Within weeks, his internal attitude changed radically. When he sat for the exam again, his mind no longer betrayed him, and he passed. It was not additional studying that worked the miracle, but the new intention planted and accepted in the subconscious soil. To facilitate understanding, visualize your mind as a field divided into two zones. On the surface, sunlight touches the earth, and everything sown there is visible and easy to modify, but the sun's rays penetrate only a few centimeters. Deep below, under the visible layer, lies dark, fertile humus, where roots find sustenance, water, and minerals. There, away from sight, seeds truly germinate and develop their support systems. This is how your mind works. You can change your conscious thoughts 1,000 times, but only those that penetrate the subconscious humus, through repetition, emotion, and visualization, have the power to transform the entire field and produce sustainable harvests. This is why many read self-help books, attend courses, make wish lists, and yet see no lasting change. They are sowing on the surface, but they have not prepared the soil where the seed can truly thrive. Modern science, especially in the field of neuroplasticity, has confirmed this ancient law. The brain and nervous system respond to sustained repetition, and what is repeated with sufficient emotional charge engraves itself in the deepest neural connections, literally changing brain structure. For this reason, deep habits, beliefs, and intentions are not changed overnight, but through conscious practice, emotional visualization, and repeated affirmation. Scientific experiments show that people who dedicate a few minutes daily to vividly visualizing their goal experience measurable changes in thought patterns, emotions, and even external results, provided their intention is sincerely felt and sustained with faith. It is not enough, then, to say, "I want to be happy, I want to succeed, I want to be healthy." These expressions, if not rooted in the subconscious, are like seeds thrown on stone. They will not germinate. What you need is to transform your superficial desire into a deep conviction, accepted by your subconscious mind as a legitimate decree. To achieve this, use every resource at your disposal. Visualize your goal as if it has already been accomplished. Feel the emotion of achievement. Repeat affirmations before sleeping and upon waking, when the mind is most receptive. Do this with discipline, without impatience or doubt, and you will see the old subconscious programming that kept you in the circle of the familiar begin to fade, giving way to a new harvest of experiences. A listener of my radio program recounted how, for years, she had tried to prosper in business without results. Despite working hard, she always ended up in the same state of scarcity. Upon analyzing her inner dialogue, she realized that every time she received an unexpected profit, an automatic thought arose. "This cannot last. I always lose in the end." By identifying this subconscious programming, she began practicing a daily affirmation. "Success and prosperity are a natural part of my life. I receive and retain abundance with gratitude and confidence." She visualized in full detail the constant flow of clients, a growing bank account, the satisfaction of her customers and employees. Within months, her business experienced an unexpected and stable turnaround. The superficial seed of desire had been transformed into the deep root of conviction, and the result was inevitable. In summary, the soil where intention germinates is your subconscious mind, and only ideas planted deep within it become active forces capable of shaping your reality. Superficial intention, even if sincere, fades unless nurtured, repeated, and emotionally energized until it becomes true conviction. The mind, like the field, responds precisely to the laws of cultivation. Prepare the soil, remove the weeds of doubt and fear, water the seed of your desire with affirmations and visualizations, and trust in the natural law of harvest. To conclude, I invite you to practice a guided visualization each night before sleep. Imagine your goal as a robust tree, its deep roots sinking into the fertile soil of your subconscious. Watch the trunk grow, the branches extend, and the fruits appear inevitably as a result of your inner labor. Feel the satisfaction, peace, and certainty that your intention, now true and deep, is germinating, and that the harvest, though invisible for a time, is already unfolding. Remember, every harvest, abundant or scarce, is the faithful reflection of the seed you planted and the soil in which it was sown. Thus, a properly prepared mind is the only place where intention can become manifest destiny. Chapter 3. The Secret of Inner Consent. Throughout human existence, countless doctrines, philosophies, and schools of thought have sought to answer the enigma of why things happen as they do, and what is the true origin of the experiences each person lives. Whether they are of joy or suffering, success or failure. Many have pointed to chance, others have attributed circumstances to the will of a supreme being, and not a few, even in our era, continue to believe that life is a series of disconnected events over which they have little control. Yet those who scrutinize with rigor and honesty the patterns that repeat in their own lives and observe the course of events with impartial attention will discover a principle that, though hidden from plain sight, determines with absolute precision what appears in their external world. Nothing occurs without your prior mental consent. Every event, every relationship, every situation you experience has not simply been imposed by external forces. It has, at some level of your mind, conscious or subconscious, received your assent, your inner yes, your silent permission, even if that consent was granted through habit, resignation, or unconscious routine. This secret, whose depth eludes superficial understanding, is the key that allows access to conscious mastery of your destiny. Most people, upon hearing this for the first time, resist accepting it, for it is painful to admit that they themselves, and not bad luck, are responsible for consenting to the repetition of limiting or undesirable circumstances. But the mental law is unmoved by ignorance or denial. It operates with mathematical precision, collecting and materializing those ideas, images, and convictions that, through repetition or emotion, have received a person's inner consent. Mental consent is not always given consciously. It is often granted through silence, through lack of opposition, through passive allowance, through becoming accustomed to what seems inevitable. Resignation, habit, and conformity are forms of consent that, though passive, are as powerful as a vocal yes. Take a moment to examine the areas of your life where you feel dissatisfaction or limitation. It may be a conflictive relationship, a repetitive financial situation, a persistent illness, or any other unwanted scenario. Ask yourself sincerely, without self-deception, at what point did I consent, even by omission, to the presence of this situation in my life? How many times did I repeat mentally, "This is just my lot. It has always been this way. Nothing can be done"? This act of consent, though unnoticed by your conscious mind, is perceived and executed by your subconscious, which arranges circumstances, emotions, and even relationships to ensure that this conviction expresses itself in your external experience. This explains why undesired conditions persist, not because they possess intrinsic power, but because they have been tolerated, accepted, or at best, not actively rejected. I recall a consultation case that clearly illustrates this principle. A man came to my office after having been fired for the third time in 5 years from various jobs. He described himself as a victim of unfair bosses and favoritism toward other employees. Yet, when exploring his life history, a deep-seated conviction from childhood emerged. He had heard his father repeatedly say, "We never get ahead. We will always be last." That phrase, received with resignation and accepted over the years, became a command to his subconscious. Though his conscious mind desired advancement, his inner consent was aligned with stagnation and injustice. When I showed him this mechanism, he was surprised, but he finally understood that he had to withdraw his consent to this inherited programming and begin affirming a new inner truth. I advanced steadily. My work is valued and recognized. Success is my natural state. I instructed him to repeat this affirmation quietly, in a relaxed state before sleep, and to actively replace the old thought whenever it arose with the new declaration. Within months, he was not only hired by a company offering better conditions, but also, for the first time in his life, received genuine praise from superiors and colleagues. The change did not occur by chance or a whimsical twist of fate, but by withdrawing inner consent to limitation and consciously instating a new mental yes to prosperity. The practice of affirmations before sleep, known as the nighttime method of subconscious impregnation, is an extremely effective tool for changing inner consent. During sleep, the conscious mind withdraws, and the subconscious, free from critical oversight, absorbs new ideas more easily. By dedicating a few minutes before sleep to repeat a clear, positive, and specific affirmation imbued with emotion and faith, you are planting the seed of a new consent that over time displaces old programming. The key lies in constant repetition and attention to the associated emotions. It is not about uttering empty words, but about feeling and accepting as true what you affirm. In this way, the nightly affirmation becomes the channel through which you withdraw permission from the undesired and grant it to what you wish to experience. One woman recounted on a radio program how she had endured for years a romantic relationship marked by indifference and lack of affection. Upon analyzing her thoughts, she realized that although she desired a fulfilling relationship, she had consented, out of fear of loneliness, to the persistence of this situation. Her affirmation had been, "I make do, because this is better than nothing." When she worked on her inner consent, she began repeating each night, "I deserve love and respect. My partner values me and communicates openly with me." Though initially she felt disbelief and doubt, she continued the practice until, without conscious effort, she began mentally rejecting any gesture of indifference and acting with greater dignity and self-esteem. Her relationship changed radically. Over time, communication and affection were restored. This transformation was not the result of demands or external manipulation, but of a profound change in inner consent. The subconscious mind, obedient and precise, does not distinguish between what you desire and what you fear, between what you affirm and what you tolerate. It only knows consent. If you allow an idea to persist, even through resignation or habit, it will become reality. This is why many people fail to eliminate fear or poverty. Despite consciously desiring the opposite, they unconsciously consent to these states by giving them attention, energy, and passive acceptance. The mental law recognizes no exceptions. All that is consciously given, desired or not, manifests over time because the subconscious neither argues nor sympathizes. It simply executes the order received. It is therefore essential to develop the habit of granting your inner consent only to what is good, to what you wish to experience, and to actively reject all that is undesired, not with hate or struggle, but through the simple act of withdrawing your consent. Whenever a negative idea, a painful memory, or a suggestion of failure arises in your mind, repeat firmly, "I do not consent to this. My consent is only for health, peace, and prosperity." Practice daily. This exercise gradually displaces old programming and opens space for new experiences. Do not fear being firm or feeling that you are rejecting a part of your past. Your divine right is to choose what you allow in your life, and this lesson is realized above all in the silence of your inner mind. For those facing difficult situations, I recommend the following nightly exercise. When lying down, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and quietly or mentally repeat, "I withdraw my consent from all that limits my life. I allow only good, harmony, abundance, and love. My subconscious mind accepts this order and executes it now." Visualize for a few minutes your life already free from the undesired situation. Feel the tranquility, peace, and joy of this new reality, and rest with the certainty that you have given a direct command to your inner mind. Perform this nightly without impatience, and observe how external circumstances gradually align with your new consent. This chapter concludes with the truth to be engraved deeply. Life is, ultimately, the sum of the inner consents you have granted, consciously or unconsciously. No external power can impose itself upon your will if you do not permit it. and no limitation, fear, or lack can resist the firmness of a conscious yes to abundance and good. From this day forward, assume responsibility for your inner consent, withdraw permission from the undesired, and grant your yes to all you wish to experience. The law responds without exception to the silent decree of your mind, and the reality you live will always be the faithful reflection of what you have consented to in the depths of your being as possible and legitimate. Chapter 4. The Mental Image and the Energy of Intention. The mental image is the central instrument through which intention becomes a dynamic and creative force, capable of altering the course of events and manifesting in visible reality that which was first conceived in the inner mind. For many, the idea of visualizing a desired outcome may seem like mere fantasy, a childish pastime with no practical effect on the concrete world. However, this superficial perception overlooks the profound mechanisms by which the subconscious mind operates, and it especially ignores the fundamental principle of mental creation. Everything you see and experience in your life first existed as an internal image, a vibratory structure that preceded and conditioned the appearance of the physical fact. The entire universe, from atoms to galaxies, responds to laws of vibration, frequency, and resonance. Thus, every mental image sustained with sufficient intention and emotion becomes a center of attraction, radiating energy and invisibly, yet infallibly, organizing the elements necessary for that image to manifest in the external world. To understand this law, it is necessary to abandon the notion that the mind is a mere passive reflection of what occurs outside. On the contrary, the mind is an active laboratory, an internal cinematograph where images are projected incessantly. When these images are repeated and accepted with sufficient faith, they descend to the subconscious level, becoming molds, energetic patterns that attract their physical equivalent. Just as a movie projector casts images onto a white screen, your mind, through conscious visualization, imprints images onto the vast canvas of life. If your images are confused, contradictory, or negative, the film that is projected will be of the same nature. Conversely, if you maintain clear, specific images charged with positive intention, reality will tend to reflect that inner script. This is not an abstract claim or an irrational belief, but a principle that modern science has begun to explore through studies on the mind's influence on matter, neuroplasticity, and the placebo effect. The mental cinematograph method, which I have taught for decades to thousands in consultations and lectures, consists of creating, maintaining, and perfecting a precise mental image of the desired outcome until it becomes an emotionally accepted reality, and therefore a direct command to the subconscious. The process is simple in structure, but requires discipline and consistency. First, define clearly what you wish to achieve: health, success, harmony, or any other good. Then dedicate a few minutes each day to closing your eyes, relaxing, and visualizing the scene in as much detail as possible. Do not limit yourself to imagining it coldly or distantly. Involve all your senses. Feel the satisfaction of achievement. Hear the voices. Perceive the colors, the temperature, the atmosphere. Make the image so real internally that the subconscious cannot distinguish it from an authentic experience. As I have explained, the subconscious mind does not reason or judge. It accepts as true whatever is presented repeatedly and emotionally. This is why the mental image sustained during visualization is the primary nourishment of intention. The psychic energy you emit by maintaining a firm and detailed image acts as a vibration resonating in the invisible plane, attracting people, circumstances, and opportunities in harmony with that frequency. The universe does not respond to what you merely wish for, but to what you sustain with conviction, to what you see and feel internally as already accomplished. Visualization, therefore, is not simple imagination, but an act of mental creation that precedes and conditions objective experience. Allow me to illustrate this principle with a simple explanation using vibration and electromagnetism, drawing on everyday life. When you turn on a radio, you tune the dial to a specific frequency. The music or words already exist as electromagnetic waves, but you perceive them only when your receiver is set to the correct frequency. Similarly, your mind is a receiver and transmitter of frequencies, and the mental image is the dial that determines the kinds of experiences you will attract into your life. If you maintain images of failure, fear, or scarcity, your mind tunes in and attracts more of the same. If, however, you visualize success, health, and abundance with emotional intensity, the frequency you emit will resonate with elements of equal nature and inevitably attract them into your experience. This is not an instant or magical process. Just as a seed requires time to germinate, grow, and bear fruit, the mental image must be sustained, nourished, and protected from doubt and contradictory thoughts. Many abandon visualization practices because they do not see immediate results, ignoring that the subconscious mind needs time to reorganize energies, resources, and people necessary for manifestation. The secret lies in perseverance and trust in the invisible process. Each time you visualize your goal, you strengthen the vibration, deepen the furrow in the subconscious terrain, and bring the realization of the desired outcome closer. Visualization exercises are countless, but they all share the same principle. Internally represent the goal as already achieved, feel the emotion of accomplishment, and repeat the process daily until the image becomes an internal reality. I especially recommend practicing visualization at the times of greatest mental receptivity, such as upon waking and before sleeping. During these intervals, the conscious mind is more relaxed, brain waves descend to levels more conducive to suggestion, and the mental image penetrates the subconscious more easily. For example, if you wish to heal a physical ailment, visualize yourself already healthy, performing activities that the illness previously prevented, feeling vigor and well-being in every cell. If your goal is professional success, imagine recognition, prosperity, and the joy of your work accomplished. Do not worry about the details of how it will happen. Focus on the end result and let the subconscious orchestrate the means. Throughout my professional life, I've witnessed countless cases where conscious visualization produced astonishing results. A woman who had suffered for years from an ailment deemed incurable consulted me after exhausting all medical treatments. I taught her the mental cinematograph method and instructed her to visualize herself walking freely in the park, breathing with ease, enjoying the company of loved ones every night before sleeping. Weeks of disciplined repetition transformed the mental image of health into a deep conviction. One day, the symptoms began to diminish inexplicably. Within months, the illness vanished. Doctors spoke of spontaneous remission, but the true cause was the inner transformation. The mental image of health nourished the energy of her intention and reorganized the vital forces of her body. It is no coincidence that sacred texts and esoteric traditions across all cultures repeat the same instruction. Visualize good. Imagine the desired outcome. Plant in your mind the image of what you wish to experience. This guidance is far from superstition. It is the recognition of the most powerful mental law. The mind creates according to the internal image it holds with faith and emotion. Visualization, then, becomes the art of consciously directing the energy of intention, shaping destiny through image and emotion, converting desires into convictions and convictions into reality. It is essential, however, to avoid the trap of doubt and impatience. If after each visualization you anxiously ask when it will happen or allow contradictory thoughts to interfere, you weaken the energy of intention and delay the result. Act like the wise farmer who, after sowing the seed, trusts the natural process and tends the field without uprooting the plant daily to see if it grows. Nourish your mental image with affirmations, gratitude, and trust, and actively reject every idea that contradicts your purpose. For those seeking a concrete method, I propose the following exercise. Each night before sleep, spend 5 minutes closing your eyes and visualizing your goal as already achieved. Use all your senses, involve yourself emotionally, and repeat a clear affirmation such as, "My mind and body are in perfect harmony," or "Abundance flows into my life continuously." Feel the truth of your words, imagine the details, and rest with the certainty that the energy of your intention is silently working in the invisible. In short, the mental image is the channel through which intention transforms into creative energy. This energy, vibrating in resonance with the desired outcome, organizes and attracts the elements necessary for its manifestation. The reality you experience is not an accident, nor a product of chance. It is the faithful reflection of the images you have sustained with intention in the secret workshop of your mind. Learn then to govern your internal images, to nourish the energy of your intention, and you will discover the infallible power of visualization as an instrument of transformation and mastery over destiny. Chapter 5. Intention, Faith and Results, the Unbreakable Formula. If the reader has followed the development of the previous chapters carefully, they will have understood that intention is the primary cause of all that is visible. The seed that, when it germinates in the subconscious, produces fruits in everyday experience. However, it is essential to note that intention alone is not always sufficient for the desired outcome to manifest with solidity and permanence. There exists an indispensable element, without which intention weakens, disperses, or even becomes null before producing effect: faith. Just as an electric current requires a closed circuit to manifest its energy, intention requires faith to transform into certainty and to powerfully direct the invisible processes that precede any manifestation. Faith is the active agent that sets in motion the hidden electrons of the universe, organizing matter, circumstances, and events to make real what was first conceived within the mind. Faith is not a blind act nor an irrational belief, but a profound conviction, a total assent of the being to the truth of the intention planted in the subconscious. Faith is the assurance that, even if external senses have not yet perceived the result, the process is underway, and the outcome is guaranteed by the very law that governs all creation. It is the support that sustains the mental image when visible events seem to contradict it. It is the force that prevents doubt, anxiety, and fear from eroding the energy of intention. It is the element that transforms desire into certainty, the image into experience, the seed into fruit. This is why all spiritual masters and traditions throughout history have repeatedly emphasized the necessity of faith as the foundation of every creative work. In biblical narratives, we find countless examples of this truth presented not as dogmas or superstitions, but as psychological illustrations of a universal law. When Jesus says, "Whatever you ask for in prayer, believe that you have received it, and it will be yours," he is not referring to an arbitrary favor granted by a capricious deity, but to the mental action by which intention sustained with faith becomes an irresistible cause of its own fulfillment. Faith is the channel through which creative energy flows from the inner mind to external experience. In the story of the woman who, after years of suffering, touched the edge of Jesus' cloak and was healed, the phrase, "Your faith has healed you," is not an empty metaphor but the expression of a mental reality. The healing power did not come from outside, but from the inner faith that activated the law of life and allowed the desired outcome to manifest. Faith closed the circuit, intention became certainty, and the result was inevitable. In my consulting work, I have witnessed countless testimonies of healing, prosperity, and personal transformation that confirm the unbreakable relationship between intention, faith, and result. I recall the case of a businessman who, after years of failures and debts, came to me convinced that fortune eluded him due to reasons beyond his control. His conscious intention was prosperity, but his faith was fragmented, eroded by past experiences and the persistent doubt of his environment. I instructed him to first restore his faith in the good, in the universal law of abundance, and that the best way to do so was through the daily repetition of specific affirmations and the visualization of success, as if it were already accomplished. For weeks he repeated before sleep, "The infinite intelligence of my subconscious mind guides, provides and multiplies all my ventures. Prosperity flows to me from unexpected sources. I trust fully in the law of abundance." Although the words initially seemed empty, he persevered until one day, almost imperceptibly, doubt gave way to a sense of certainty, peace, and anticipatory joy. A few months later, an unexpected opportunity transformed his financial situation, and what had seemed impossible for years manifested naturally. It was not intention alone that worked the miracle, but sustained faith, the internal conviction that directed all invisible elements toward the fulfillment of desire. Contemporary science has begun to validate, through rigorous experiments, the power of faith over matter and biological processes. The so-called placebo effect, extensively studied and sometimes misinterpreted, is objective proof that deep conviction, even in the absence of external agents, can trigger processes of healing, regeneration, and well-being in the human body. When a person believes with certainty that they are receiving an effective treatment, even if it is in fact inert, their subconscious responds by activating biological mechanisms that produce the expected result. Indeed, faith is not only a spiritual phenomenon, but an active force, a dynamic principle that organizes energy, directs electrons, mobilizes internal and external resources, and manifests in the physical plane that which was first accepted as true in the mental plane. There is no limit to the power of faith when allied with intention. I have received letters and testimonies from people who, applying this unbreakable formula, have overcome illnesses considered incurable, transformed poverty into prosperity, loneliness into fulfilling relationships, and fear into confidence. A memorable example is that of a mother who, on the verge of despair over her child's illness, decided to embrace with faith the image of perfect health. Each night before sleeping, she visualized her son healthy, running and laughing, affirming, "The healing intelligence of my mind and his restores every cell of his body. Health is his natural state, and I already see him happy and well." Weeks of uncertainty passed, but she did not yield to doubt. Finally, the child's health was restored, and doctors spoke of a miraculous recovery. I assert that it was not a miracle, but the universal law of life responding to the closed circuit of intention and faith. Faith directs the invisible electrons of your reality, organizes the energetic field of your life, and attracts everything necessary for the manifestation of your purpose. Just as an invisible magnetic field orders iron filings, faith orders and directs mental energy toward the realization of intention. If faith is lacking, energy disperses, doubt interrupts the process, and the result dissolves. If faith is firm, intention becomes certainty, and the law of life responds with mathematical precision. Some ask, how can I develop this faith if doubt, disbelief, and fear resonate within me? The answer is simple, though it requires discipline. Faith is cultivated through repetition, visualization, and emotional experience. Just as a muscle strengthens with exercise, faith grows with the daily practice of affirmations, immersion in the mental image of the desired outcome, and conscious rejection of all contrary thoughts. You do not need to feel absolute faith from the beginning. It is enough to persist, sow, and water the seed each day. Faith will grow until it becomes the certainty that guarantees the result. To practice this principle, choose a clear intention, express it in words, and visualize it as already accomplished. Repeat affirmations daily that express your faith in the fulfillment of that desire. When doubts or fears arise, do not fight them. Simply replace them with the positive affirmation, with serenity and confidence. Remember the biblical words, "Let it be done according to your faith." Do not ask in fear or anxiety. Affirm with certainty as one who has already received what is asked. Rest in the law, and let faith complete the circuit of your intention. In short, the formula is unbreakable. Intention plus faith equals sign. Result. Intention is the cause. Faith is the channel. Result is the inevitable manifestation. No external force can intervene when your faith is firm and your intention clear. Thus, every transformation, every healing, every prosperity begins and ends in the secret laboratory of the mind, where intention and faith unite and create reality in the image and likeness of your deepest conviction. Chapter 6. Mental Obstacles and How to Dissolve Them. The human mind, in its vastness and complexity, is capable of conceiving ideas of limitless beauty, visualizing grand goals, and sustaining intentions so firm that they defy the most adverse circumstances. Yet, it is also true that the same terrain where the noblest purposes germinate can become infested with invisible weeds, limiting beliefs, ancient fears, recurring doubts, and painful memories that, if unrecognized and untreated, act as silent obstacles, blocking the natural flow of intention and diluting the energy necessary to achieve any meaningful result. Just as an abandoned field quickly becomes overrun with thorns and weeds that choke the seed, a neglected mind allows old programming, unresolved resentments, and toxic emotions to form an impenetrable barrier around intention, preventing it from flourishing. The first task of the sincere seeker is therefore to honestly identify the mental obstacles operating within. It is not enough to formulate high intentions or practice visualization. If negative convictions about oneself, the world, or personal worth persist in the deep layers of the mind, they will silently undermine all efforts. Ask yourself with total honesty, what beliefs have I accepted as true about my abilities, my health, my destiny? What fears insist on returning whenever I try to move forward? What silent doubts whisper that it is impossible, that I am unworthy, that there is no solution for my case? Many of these inner voices do not come from direct experience, but have been inherited from family, culture, religion, or past failures. They are mental patterns that, having been repeated over years, have become operative decrees for the subconscious, which executes them without questioning their origin or truthfulness. I have witnessed countless cases where the power of a clear intention seemed insufficient to produce the desired outcome, not for lack of merit or effort, but because the mind was occupied by self-sabotaging beliefs that, like an underground current, neutralized all positive energy. I recall the case of a woman who, despite repeating affirmations of prosperity for years, never managed to break free from the cycle of scarcity. Upon examining her history, the subconscious conviction emerged that money is the root of all evil, a phrase repeated by her parents and reinforced by childhood experiences in which poverty was associated with virtue. Although she consciously desired abundance, unconscious guilt and fear of prosperity prevented any stable manifestation of wealth. Only when she recognized this belief, questioned it, and chose to replace it, did she begin to experience real improvements in her financial situation. The first step in dissolving a mental obstacle is the clear identification of its existence, without fear or self-deception, with the serenity of a gardener walking through the field, seeking weeds to uproot. Once the obstacles are identified, the next task is to employ precise and effective techniques to dissolve them and reprogram the mind toward freedom, confidence, and openness to good. Among the most powerful tools I have taught throughout my life is the technique of forgiveness. Many people harbor deep resentments, old wounds, or feelings of guilt that function as invisible chains, tying psychic energy to the past and preventing the full realization of intention. Forgiveness, far from being a mere act of kindness toward others, is a mental liberation that cleanses the subconscious field and allows vital energy to flow once again. Forgive not only those you believe have harmed you, but, above all, forgive yourself for mistakes, failures, omissions, and harsh judgments accumulated over time. The formula is simple. Each night before sleeping, repeat in your mind, I release myself and I release all others. All is forgiven. Love and peace fill my mind and heart. Feel the relief of letting go of the past. Imagine the energy that was trapped in the wound beginning to circulate, nourishing your new intention with renewed vigor. The practice of gratitude is another fundamental technique to dissolve mental obstacles and reprogram the mind toward abundance and fulfillment. Gratitude acts as a solvent of complaint, resentment, and dissatisfaction. When you train your mind to seek and recognize reasons to be thankful every day, no matter how small or simple, you change your inner vibration and create space for new blessings to arrive. The subconscious responds immediately to the emotion of gratitude, reorganizing perception and attracting situations aligned with that inner state. Begin each day by listing at least 5 things for which you are grateful. Write them down. Repeat them aloud. Feel them in your heart. Make gratitude a habit and observe how external circumstances begin to reflect your new mental state. Do not wait for everything to be perfect to give thanks. It is the act of gratitude itself that attracts progressive perfection. Alongside forgiveness and gratitude, conscious self-liberation is a tool that deserves dedicated cultivation. Many people live chained to their past, real or imagined mistakes, labels and definitions imposed by others that they have come to accept as part of their identity. Self-liberation begins with the deliberate act of challenging and dismantling those old labels, replacing them with new definitions based on the truth of your potential. You are not your mistakes or failures. You are not the sum of your fears or the opinions of others. You are a being endowed with the capacity to choose, to forgive, to be grateful, and to transform every experience into an opportunity for growth. Affirm with firm and renewed conviction, I release everything that no longer serves me. I renounce all beliefs of limitation, fear, and doubt. My mind is a fertile field where I only plant and cultivate good. Make this affirmation a daily decree and observe how mental chains begin to loosen, allowing you to advance with greater freedom toward the manifestation of your intentions. It is important to understand that dissolving mental obstacles is neither a single act nor an instant achievement, but a gradual process of self-observation, honesty, repetition, and constant practice. Whenever a thought of doubt, fear, or unworthiness arises in your mind, do not fight it or violently suppress it. Simply observe it, recognize its origin, and replace it with the corresponding positive affirmation. If fear says you cannot, respond calmly, I can and I deserve the best. If doubt whispers it has never worked before, reply with faith, this time it works because my mind is renewed and my intention is firm. Step by step, thought by thought, you clean the inner field and allow the energy of your purpose to flow unimpeded toward your chosen goal. The great achievements, unexpected healings, and financial and personal transformations I have witnessed over the years have not been the product of chance or luck, but of the inner work of those who, upon identifying their mental obstacles, decided to face them, forgive them, give thanks for them, and release themselves from them. The person who healed from an incurable illness was not simply the one who visualized health, but the one who dared to forgive past mistakes and appreciate each small improvement, until faith and gratitude displaced the old programming of fear and despair. The person who overcame poverty was the one who, upon discovering the root of their resentment toward wealth, forgave it and gave thanks for every sign of improvement until abundance became their natural state. Thus, the reprogrammed mind, free of obstacles and limiting beliefs, becomes the fertile soil where intention can take deep root and produce visible, lasting, and satisfying fruits. The process requires patience, honesty, and daily practice, but the results are inevitable for those who persevere in cleaning and cultivating their mental field. Recognize, forgive, give thanks, and liberate yourself. You will see obstacles dissolve. The energy of your intention strengthens and your entire life begins to align effortlessly with the fullness that is your natural right. Chapter 7. Intention and prosperity open the door to good. In daily life, the topic of prosperity and abundance often raises more doubts, prejudices, and resistance than any other human matter. Money, material goods, opportunities for progress, and wealth have traditionally been surrounded by contradictory interpretations and beliefs that prevent many from fully enjoying the legitimate fruits of their mental and spiritual effort. However, when prosperity is examined in the light of the law of intention, it is revealed as a natural phenomenon, the inevitable consequence of an internal cause, a sincere, firm, and conscious intention to receive, give, and circulate good in all its forms. Money and possessions are nothing more than visible manifestations of an invisible intention. They are the materialized result of a mental energy previously accepted and nurtured in the fertile terrain of the subconscious. It is essential to understand that wealth is not an accident, nor a capricious lottery of fate, nor the arbitrary privilege of a few. Abundance is the natural expression of a universal law that responds precisely to the charity, clarity, and constancy of the dominant intentions you hold within yourself. Just as every harvest is the direct result of a planted seed, prepared soil, and diligent care, prosperity is the logical harvest of a mind trained in goodness, accustomed to thinking in terms of fullness, open to giving and receiving without prejudice or fear. The true cause of scarcity is not found in external conditions, economic fluctuations, or competition with others, but in the mental consent given, consciously or unconsciously, to the idea of lack, insufficiency, or unworthiness. Money, like any form of energy, obeys precise laws of circulation, attraction, and manifestation. Everything you see in the material world, from the coins in your pocket to great estates and properties, is ultimately energy organized into specific patterns. Modern physics teaches us that matter is nothing more than condensed energy, that the electrons, protons, and neutrons composing physical money are forms of motion, vibration, and order. Similarly, mental energy, when sustained with sufficient intensity and continuity, organizes the invisible forces of the subconscious and the environment to produce concrete manifestations of prosperity. Over the years, I've observed that most who struggle with poverty or scarcity have accepted, at some level, ideas that sabotage their natural right to abundance. Phrases such as, "money is dirty," "being rich is dangerous," "I don't deserve to prosper," or "life is a struggle" are repeated over and over, eventually becoming mental barriers that reject the entry of good. It is essential to eradicate these beliefs, replace them with constructive affirmations, and plant the intention to prosper, not as a superficial wish, but as a profound conviction. You must affirm and feel with all sincerity that you deserve prosperity, that abundance is your natural state, that the universe is full of opportunities, and that money is a legitimate instrument for the expression of good. It is not enough to mechanically repeat formulas or wealth phrases. Affirmative prayer for prosperity is an act of conscious alignment between your deepest intention and the laws governing the circulation of good. I suggest the following prayer, to be repeated each morning and night in a state of focus and attention. My mind is open to the infinite abundance of the universe. Good flows in my life without obstacles or resistance. I receive money and possessions as expressions of divine love and intelligence. I use my prosperity with wisdom, joy, and generosity. Each day I am guided toward greater opportunities and blessings. Abundance flows to me and through me in all areas of my life. Repeat this prayer not as one who begs, but as one who affirms a universal truth. Observe how, day by day, your relationship with money and possessions begins to transform. You will feel more confidence, perceive previously invisible opportunities, and attract people and circumstances that resonate with your new vibration of prosperity. One story illustrating this principle is that of a man who, after years of unsuccessful business efforts, decided to radically change his mental focus. Instead of complaining about a lack of resources, he began giving thanks whenever he received money, no matter how small. He established the habit of blessing each coin, each bill, each deposit, affirming internally, "This is energy, it is movement, it is blessing, and it multiplies good in my life." Soon he noticed opportunities increasing, clients responding more readily, and delayed payments resolving effortlessly. His prosperity grew not by magic, but through the conscious application of a mental law. The intention to prosper, nurtured by gratitude, unlocked the internal and external channels through which wealth flows. Another common case involves those who, out of fear of judgment or loss, live in constant anxiety, generating a cycle of blockage and resistance. Money, like all energy, needs to circulate. Retaining it with fear is like stagnating water in a well. It soon spoils and disappears. Learn to give with joy, to share what you have, even in small measure, and you will see the flow of abundance renew and expand. The act of giving, whether money, time, knowledge, or affection, is a confirmation of your trust in the law of circulation and a visible manifestation of the intention to prosper. Life returns multiplied what you give, and there is no loss for those who understand and apply this principle. If you wish to reprogram your mind for prosperity, use visualizations in which you see yourself already enjoying the good you desire. Feel yourself in possession of wealth. Imagine the sensations, colors, sounds, and experiences associated with abundance. Mentally repeat, "Money is my friend and servant. I receive and use it wisely. Wealth flows to me from multiple sources. I am open and receptive to new opportunities for success." Hold these images and affirmations throughout the day, and above all during the moments before sleep, when the subconscious mind is most receptive to new instructions. Do not be discouraged by contrary appearances, nor allow impatience to choke the seed of intention. When nourished with faith, gratitude, and perseverance, it eventually bears fruit at the right time. Remember, abundance is not only money, it is well-being, harmonious relationships, health, creativity, and inner peace. Open the door to good in all its forms and learn to recognize it wherever it manifests, no matter how small the beginning. Every act of gratitude, every generous thought, every inspired action strengthens the vibration of prosperity and prepares the ground for increasingly abundant harvests. The intention to prosper is not an egoistic whim or a superficial pursuit. It is the conscious recognition of your natural right to live in fullness, to enjoy the fruits of your mind and labor, and to multiply good and share it with others. When you align your thought, emotion, and action with this deep intention, you discover that the entire universe conspires in your favor and that limits disappear. Prosperity is, in essence, the infallible response of the law of intention to one who has decided to open the door to good, without fear or restriction, and allow wealth to flow in life as an expression of cosmic order and intelligence. Make prosperity a dominant intention in your mind. Nourish that intention with affirmations, gratitude, visualizations, and generous acts, and trust that the outcome is inevitable. Just as a well-planted and cared-for seed bears fruit in its proper time, your life will reflect in all its areas the fullness of your inner consent to good, abundance, and success. Chapter 8. Intention and health. Your body obeys your mind. Throughout the history of human thought, the connection between the mind and the body has been the subject of study, admiration, and, in many cases, skepticism. Yet anyone who honestly observes the functioning of their own organism and examines carefully the internal processes that precede any experience of health or disease will recognize that the physical body is not an isolated entity nor an autonomous machine, but a faithful reflection of the dominant intentions you have planted and cultivated in the deep terrain of your mind. The organism responds with mathematical precision to the orders, beliefs, and convictions that you feed day by day through your thoughts, emotions, and words. It is not an exaggeration to say that every cell, every organ, and every bodily function is subject to the invisible but powerful influence of the subconscious mind, which acts as the silent conductor of the biological orchestra. To fully grasp this principle, it is useful to use the analogy of the pharmacist and the patient. The pharmacist, upon receiving the prescription, does not judge the validity of the diagnosis or the need for the medicine. Their task is to prepare the formula and deliver it faithfully. Similarly, the subconscious receives the prescriptions that you, as both doctor and patient of yourself, deliver each day through your thoughts, emotions, and affirmations. If the prescription is imbued with ideas of health, vitality, and well-being, the subconscious prepares and distributes the necessary substance to restore and maintain bodily balance. Conversely, if the prescription contains messages of fear, illness, weakness, or resignation, the subconscious executes the order with equal diligence, organizing internal processes to faithfully reflect the dominant conviction. Thus, the body never acts on its own. It obeys at every moment the mind that governs it. Health or illness is ultimately the result of deeply rooted intentions. Throughout my career, I have witnessed countless accounts of healing that defy materialistic logic and repeatedly confirm the power of intention sustained by faith and repetition. A woman suffering for years from debilitating migraines had unsuccessfully tried all sorts of medical treatments. In consultation, we discovered that since adolescence she had accepted the belief, reinforced by family comments, that "my head has always been my weak point." This conviction had become a subconscious intention that governed her physical experience. I taught her to practice self-suggestion through daily affirmations. My mind and body are in perfect harmony. Every cell of my brain vibrates with health and balance. I am free from all discomfort and live in complete well-being. I recommended she repeat this formula every night in a state of relaxation, visualizing her head as light, clear, and free of pain. Within a few weeks, the migraines diminished, and over time they disappeared completely. The secret was not in an external remedy, but in the transformation of the dominant intention that governed her body. Self-suggestion is the most direct and effective method for implanting in the subconscious the intention of health and well-being. It is not about ignoring symptoms or neglecting the body's signals, but deliberately directing thought and emotion toward the image of health you wish to experience. The body responds not only to physical substances, but also, and more swiftly, to mental messages imbued with faith and repetition. When you affirm with conviction and regularity that your body is an instrument of well-being, that each part performs its function in harmony, that vital energy flows unhindered, you create an inner environment conducive to restoration and the maintenance of health. In daily practice, I recommend using specific affirmations adapted to your personal situation. If you are facing a particular ailment, formulate a positive statement in the present tense, clear and simple. My heart beats strongly and regularly. I feel energy and vitality throughout my being. If your goal is to strengthen overall health, use statements such as, "The intelligence of my subconscious perfectly regulates all the systems of my body. Each day I am stronger, healthier, and more complete." Repeat these affirmations upon waking and before sleeping in a state of relaxation and focus. Accompany the words with mental images. Visualize your body radiant, light, and full of life. Imagine your organs functioning with precision, your cells renewing, energy flowing freely. It is important to emphasize that self-suggestion does not aim to replace necessary medical treatments, but to work in harmony with them, enhancing the organism's natural capacity to heal and balance itself. Many physicians have recognized the decisive role of mental attitude in the progression of any illness and have documented cases in which hope, confidence, and the intention to heal accelerated recovery in remarkable ways. The subconscious, when receiving health-directed orders, mobilizes resources, activates repair mechanisms, strengthens the immune system, and regulates essential functions, often beyond what medicine can explain. The story of a man diagnosed with severe kidney insufficiency, who decided to take control of his inner life, perfectly illustrates this principle. In addition to following medical instructions, he devoted himself diligently to the daily practice of positive self-suggestion, mentally repeating, "My kidneys function perfectly. I'm grateful for the intelligence of my body, which restores total health in every cell." He visualized the blood flow free and vigorous, felt gratitude for each improvement, and firmly rejected any thought of fear or hopelessness. Months later, his tests showed an unexpected recovery that doctors called astonishing. What had occurred was the activation of a latent inner power present in every human being. The body obeys the mind, and the mind, through persistent intention, can reprogram biological reality. The principle behind this process is simple yet profound. Whatever you focus on with faith and repetition becomes the standard your body follows. If you repeat daily phrases of weakness, illness, fatigue, or resignation, the subconscious translates these orders into corresponding physical states. Conversely, if you cultivate thoughts of health, energy, and balance, and reinforce them with positive images, words, and emotions, the inner intelligence responds by organizing all systems in favor of well-being. Never underestimate the power of a well-formulated phrase, sincerely repeated. Do not ignore the strength of a mental image held with joy and confidence. The mind is the laboratory where the most potent remedies are prepared, and the body is the fertile ground where these remedies produce results. Many have asked whether this method can also be applied to disease prevention, and the answer is yes. The subconscious mind does not distinguish between past, present, or future. It responds to the instructions it receives in the now. If you plant the intention of health before a symptom appears, you create a protective barrier, an inner fortress that hinders harmful influences. This is why optimistic, grateful, and confident people tend to enjoy greater vitality and resilience against physical adversities. It is not luck. It is the result of constant mental programming, the careful sowing of healthy intentions. In summary, your body is the faithful reflection of your dominant intentions. No external remedy has more power than your inner consent to health and well-being. Self-suggestion, affirmation, visualization, and gratitude are the tools available to direct the power of your mind toward the restoration and balance of your organism. No matter your starting point, the severity of the diagnosis, or the time elapsed, the healing process begins the moment you decide to assume authority over your thoughts, plant intentions of health, and sustain them with faith and repetition. The body always obeys the mind, and a properly directed mind can transform any terrain, however barren it seems, into a garden of vitality, well-being, and fullness. Chapter 9, Relationship and Harmony. Intention of love in action. If there is one aspect of human life where the law of intention reveals itself with absolute clarity, it is in the realm of personal relationships. The invisible bond that unites people, the quality of daily interactions, the presence or absence of harmony in dealings with others, all of these are always the direct result of the deep intentions you harbor within regarding love, respect, and coexistence. No relationship, whether romantic, familial, friendly, or professional, exists outside the silent decrees you constantly emit from your subconscious mind. Just as the seed determines the fruit, a benevolent intention repeated and sustained with faith creates a magnetic field of attraction and resonance where harmony naturally arises and conflict dissolves for lack of psychic nourishment. Relational life, beyond external circumstances and the characters involved, is an undeniable mirror of the dominant vibration you emit. If you cultivate thoughts of criticism, resentment, distrust, or fear of betrayal, your subconscious organizes conditions and attracts people and situations that confirm that inner expectation. Conversely, if you choose to intend love, understanding, forgiveness, and goodwill, the environment inevitably responds to that vibration. Although external changes may require time and persistence, the law never fails. External harmony faithfully reflects inner harmony. Peace in your relationships begins with peace in your thoughts. I have met countless people in consultation concerned about loneliness or emotional disconnection. Many, after repeated failures or disappointments, have fallen into the habit of thinking, "There is no partner for me. I always attract those who hurt me. Love is scarce. I do not deserve happiness in my relationships." These affirmations, even when unspoken, become operational decrees for the subconscious, which filters opportunities, blocks positive encounters, and perpetuates the cycle of dissatisfaction. The only way to break this cycle is by reprogramming your inner intention, formulating and repeating new convictions. I deserve true love. I attract healthy, happy, and constructive relationships. Harmony and understanding reign in my emotional life. Daily repetition, especially in moments of silence and reflection, gradually displaces old beliefs and opens space for renewed experiences. One of the most effective exercises to attract the ideal partner is detailed visualization accompanied by present-tense affirmations. Dedicate a few minutes each night to imagining life with a compatible person. Visualize harmonious conversations, moments of mutual support, shared joy, respect, affection, and growth together. Focus not on physical traits, but on essential qualities: understanding, generosity, humor, sincerity, fidelity. While holding this image, mentally repeat, "The infinite intelligence of my subconscious mind guides me toward the perfect relationship for my highest good. Love flows freely in my life, and I am a channel of harmony and happiness." This exercise not only directs your energy toward the goal, but also modifies your personal vibration, attracting by the law of affinity those who resonate with your renewed inner state. Many have observed that shortly after beginning this practice, opportunities, invitations, and unexpected encounters appear, opening the door to true love. The intention of reconciliation and forgiveness is equally powerful. I have witnessed cases in which relationships broken for years were restored when one party decided wholeheartedly to release resentments and send thoughts of peace and goodwill to the other. Physical reconciliation is not always necessary. It is enough to plant in the subconscious the image of dialogue, understanding, and harmonious closure for resentment to lose its power and the soul to regain freedom. A woman who had not spoken to her sister for over a decade decided, after much reflection, to practice a daily prayer. "I bless my sister with love and peace. Wherever she is, I wish her happiness and harmony. My heart is open to forgiveness, and humility is restored in the invisible." For weeks she repeated this prayer every night, imagining a hug, a smile, a gesture of reconciliation. Without seeking or forcing the encounter, one day she received an unexpected call. Emotional distance dissipated, and the relationship was able to rebuild itself on new, stronger foundations. Thus, benevolent intention first operates in the invisible realm and then manifests in the visible, organizing circumstances so that harmony returns where it once seemed impossible. For those wishing to strengthen current relationships, the practice of gratitude is indispensable. Each morning, take a few minutes to mentally bless the people you live with: partner, children, parents, friends, colleagues. Focus not on their flaws, but on their qualities, happy moments, and shared lessons. Repeat: "I am grateful for the presence of Name in my life. Our bond is blessed with understanding and peace. Each day we grow in unity and love." The subconscious records these words, modifies your attitude and perception, and begins to transform the relationship from within. Harmony is not always produced by external change, but by transforming the mental filter through which you perceive and respond to others. In moments of conflict, when tension threatens dialogue or creates distance, withdraw for a few moments to a place of calm. Close your eyes and silently repeat. The peace of infinite intelligence governs this bond. I renounce the need to be right and to be understood. Harmony is my intention and my destiny. Do not expect immediate changes in the other person. The essential thing is that your mental field be cleansed of aggression, resentment, or victimhood, and that your benevolent intention becomes the dominant force. The subconscious responds swiftly to sincerity, and even if the other person is unaware of this inner work, the atmosphere softens, misunderstandings lose their strength, and often unexpected solutions arise. I have witnessed marriages rescued from miscommunication and distance through the simple practice of a nightly joint prayer, even in silence. Two people, holding hands before sleep, repeat, "We bless our union. We are grateful for the day's lessons and ask the higher intelligence to guide our thoughts and words toward peace." This simple gesture, repeated consistently, gradually erases resentment, pride, and habitual habits, restoring the unity and affection that every relationship needs to thrive. The mental law is clear and precise. Your subconscious accepts as orders the intentions of love, harmony, and goodwill, and organizes your words, gestures, and reactions so that the external experience reflects that vibration. Sow benevolent intentions daily. Pray for the peace of your relationships. Visualize unity and respect, and you will see how your emotional life transforms, not through imposition or manipulation, but by the natural power of loving intention in action. Always remember, the world you inhabit is the mirror of your dominant intentions. If you desire fulfilling, harmonious, and loving relationships, begin by planting within yourself the conviction that harmony is possible and natural, and make every thought, word, and act a faithful expression of that purpose. When the intention of love becomes the most transformative factor in the human experience, it opens paths of reconciliation, unity, and joy where previously there was only distance, discord, or loneliness. Chapter 10. The creative power of intention in work and business. The professional and business arena is one of the settings where the law of intention manifests with the greatest force and clarity, although many attribute success to chance, competition, or external factors that seem beyond personal control. However, constant experience and honest observation demonstrate that the true difference between sustained success and chronic stagnation lies in the quality and clarity of the mental intention that underpins every action, project, and professional encounter. Work, far from being a mere exchange of time for a salary, is the privileged channel for the creative expression of human potential. Business, at its essence, is an organized way to materialize ideas, talents, and services that add value to the world. Both individually and collectively, prosperity and progress are the natural outcome of well-defined intentions, sustained with conviction and aligned with the universal principles of the common good, innovation, and integrity. History is full of examples where ordinary men and women, by deciding to direct their minds with purpose, transformed not only their personal destiny, but also that of those around them. One of the clearest illustrations is the story of a young employee who, after several years performing routine tasks in a large company, began visualizing each night before sleep his promotion to positions of greater responsibility. He did not merely wish for change, he formulated a clear intention. I deploy my talents effectively. I am valued and recognized by my superiors. Opportunities for advancement multiply before me. Each day I grow in skills, confidence, and leadership. He accompanied these affirmations with vivid images, seeing himself receiving congratulations, signing contracts, leading teams, and innovating in his area. The constant repetition of this practice, combined with conscious improvement of his competencies, produced an internal transformation that soon reflected externally. He was assigned new projects, invited to strategic meetings, gained the support of key colleagues, and ultimately obtained the promotion that had seemed unattainable for years. It was not chance or favoritism that brought the change, but the organizing force of a defined intention, accepted by the subconscious and reinforced by coherent action. In the business world, the most enduring success stories usually belong to those who have practiced systematic mental work. the method of the scientific prayer for projects and ventures. This technique consists of visualizing the desired outcome in all its details, feeling the emotion of achievement as if it were already a reality, and mentally affirming the guidance and support of infinite intelligence. It has become the foundation for countless accomplishments in business, leadership, and innovation. An entrepreneur burdened by economic instability in his sector decided to abandon worry and pessimism to focus on a new intention. My company is a channel of prosperity, service, and continuous growth. Creativity flows in every area, sales multiply, clients and collaborators trust and are inspired by our vision. Every morning before beginning his work, he spent a few minutes in affirmative prayer, visualizing signed contracts, the enthusiasm of his team, and the satisfaction of his clients. Soon, he noticed creative ideas emerging more easily, opportunities for alliances appearing almost effortlessly, and difficulties resolving with less effort. His company, far from succumbing to crisis, experienced an unexpected cycle of expansion, confirming once again that intention, well-directed and sustained, is the most valuable resource in any professional activity. In consultations, it is common to encounter people who feel trapped in monotonous jobs, conflictive work relationships, or projects that never take off. Often, when exploring their internal dialogue, phrases emerge such as, "There are no opportunities for me. No one recognizes my effort. I always get the hardest tasks." These phrases, far from being simple complaints, are mental decrees that program the subconscious to filter opportunities, attract obstacles, and confirm a limited vision of reality. The first step to breaking this cycle is to define a new intention, repeated and imbued with emotion. I open my mind and my life to new possibilities. My work is valuable and appreciated. I advance confidently toward better conditions and achievements. This practice, combined with concrete actions of personal and professional improvement, prepares the ground for creativity and opportunity to flourish where before there was only routine and discouragement. For those wishing to launch a project, change jobs, or start a business, I recommend the following method of scientific prayer. Before each important step, close your eyes and visualize the outcome already achieved. Feel the emotion, satisfaction, relief, and pride of the fulfilled goal. Mentally affirm, "Infinite intelligence guides every action and decision in this project. Everything I do contributes to the common good and my prosperity. Every necessary resource arrives at the perfect moment. Doors open, and success is inevitable." Make this prayer a daily habit. Repeat it with calm, confidence, and gratitude without impatience or anxiety. The subconscious, upon receiving these orders, organizes ideas, motivates action, and attracts the resources and people necessary for the purpose to be realized. The creative power of intention does not consist of passively waiting for results, but in aligning thought, emotion, and action toward the desired objective, trusting in the law of cause and effect that governs all vital processes. The well-trained mind is the best strategic planning tool. It anticipates obstacles, identifies solutions, recognizes opportunities, and establishes priorities intuitively and effectively. The key lies in keeping the intention clearly defined, avoiding doubts or fears, and acting coherently and responsibly in every step. Those who have reached positions of leadership, launched successful businesses, or innovated in highly competitive fields often recount that the decisive moment came when, after defining a clear goal, they devoted time and energy to visualizing success, affirming it with conviction, and acting as if they had already achieved it. The internal attitude of certainty and gratitude, even before seeing external results, is the force that multiplies opportunities, attracts unexpected support, and turns challenges into stepping stones for advancement. If today you feel stagnation, dissatisfaction, or blockage in your professional activity, do not resign yourself to inertia, nor attribute your situation to external causes. Ask yourself honestly, what intentions have I sustained regarding my work? Have I given my inner consent to routine, failure, and discouragement, or have I chosen to intend growth, learning, recognition, and prosperity? Remember that the mental law always responds to the quality and intensity of your intention. You do not need brute force or excessive sacrifices. You need clear inner direction, a felt purpose, and a daily practice aligning thought, emotion, and action. Make every day a laboratory of conscious creation. Affirm success. Visualize the goal. Give thanks in advance for every progress. Act with excellence and allow infinite intelligence to organize and enhance your talents. Thus, work ceases to be a burden and becomes the natural medium for expressing your potential. Business becomes the fertile field where creative intention produces multiplied results. Professional prosperity is the infallible response of the law of intention to those who know what they want, why they want it, and what it serves, and who do not hesitate to proclaim it and live it daily. Chapter 11. Intention, Mental Peace, and Higher Purpose. The pursuit of mental peace has, since time immemorial, been the supreme desire of every conscious person. Beyond the accumulation of material goods, professional achievements, or social success, the true treasure of existence lies in inner serenity, in the quiet certainty that life has a purpose, a direction, and a meaning that transcends everyday worries and the fluctuations of the external world. This long-sought and often elusive peace is not a passive state, nor a mere refuge from difficulties. It is the natural result of a higher intention aligned with the common good and the universal principles that govern the evolution of human consciousness. Just as the wise navigator consults the compass to avoid losing his way in the fog, so too must anyone seeking a full and meaningful life fine-tune their inner compass, defining and maintaining intentions that harmonize personal achievement with the well-being of others and the general order of the universe. Daily experience shows that peace is not the automatic result of the absence of conflict, but the consequence of a mind trained in clarity, gratitude, and higher purpose. Many people, even surrounded by comforts and recognition, live in constant agitation because their intentions fluctuate according to external stimuli. They seek approval, fear disappointment, compare themselves to others, and worry about what they cannot control. The secret of lasting peace lies in directing mental energy toward elevated intentions, rooted in stable values and the sincere desire to contribute to the common good. A mind focused solely on personal satisfaction, clinging to selfish results or material achievements as an ultimate goal, is inevitably exposed to dissatisfaction, anxiety, and emptiness. Conversely, a mind that learns to ask, "How can I serve best? How can I contribute to general order and harmony?" aligns itself with the great constructive forces of life and experiences unshakable serenity, even amidst change and challenge. The first step in cultivating this mental peace is the regular practice of honest introspection. Dedicate a few minutes each day to examine the intentions governing your thoughts, words, and actions. Ask yourself without judgment or guilt, do I seek only my own benefit, or also the well-being of others? Do I act out of fear, habit, obligation, or genuine inspiration? Is my daily life guided by reaction or by conscious purpose? This self-examination, practiced in silence and humility, allows you to discover hidden motivations, identify contradictory desires, and correct inner misalignments. Just as the navigator adjusts the compass before a journey, adjust your intentions, reaffirming those that lead to peace, unity, and a sense of mission. Complement introspection with daily meditation exercises for peace. There is no need to adopt complex rituals or techniques foreign to your culture. Simply reserve a few minutes, preferably at the beginning and end of the day, to quiet mental noise, breathe deeply, and focus attention on a clear intention. Today I choose peace. My mind is a refuge of serenity. Wherever I go, I sow calm, understanding, and goodwill. Remain in this state of stillness, repeating the affirmation slowly, feeling tension dissolve and the mind expand into a space of trust and gratitude. If thoughts of worry or conflict arise, observe them without struggle, let them pass, and gently return to the chosen intention. With practice, you will discover that peace ceases to be a distant wish and becomes a tangible reality accompanying you even in difficult moments. The example of the navigator is profoundly instructive. Imagine a sailor who, facing unpredictable waves and shifting winds, trusts the compass more than momentary emotions. He knows the senses can deceive. Fog can obscure the horizon and fatigue can cause doubt. But the compass, symbol of higher intention, always points to true north. Similarly, in daily life, A mind trained in peace consults its inner compass before acting, decides calmly, responds rather than reacts, and chooses again and again to intend good, understanding, justice, and service. The result is a life less subject to the whims of circumstances, more centered, resilient, joyful, and above all, more useful to others. The connection between elevated intention and mental peace is also evident in the ability to overcome resentment, old wounds, and disagreements. A mind clinging to the past, repeating grievances and resentments, cannot experience lasting peace. The conscious practice of forgiveness, not as an obligation, but as inner liberation, is essential to restore harmony and mental health. Whenever you feel the urge to revisit a grievance, turn to this prayer. I choose to release this thought. My peace is more valuable than any resentment. Higher intelligence guides my relationships toward understanding and unity. Over time, the subconscious learns to let go, to release useless burdens, and to choose peace as the supreme priority. In work, family life, social life, and service, intention aligned with higher purpose transforms even the simplest tasks into meaningful acts, gives routines significance, and turns challenges into opportunities for growth. It is not about renouncing one's dreams, but integrating them into a broader framework where personal well-being naturally expands by contributing to the joy and progress of others. This unifying vision generates deep trust, genuine motivation, and serene energy that elevates the collective consciousness. For those wishing to deepen this experience, I recommend ending each day with a closing meditation. Sit in silence, review mentally the day's actions and thoughts. Identify moments when you acted in harmony with your values, and affirm that I am grateful for every occasion in which I chose peace. Tomorrow my intention will be even clearer, and my service even fuller. My inner compass always guides me to the north of good. Make this practice a habit, and observe how, gradually, anxiety, confusion, and fear lose power, replaced by certainty, purpose, and serenity. In summary, mental peace is neither an external reward nor a chance prize, but the logical consequence of an elevated intention, aligned with the common good and the higher purpose of life. Just as the navigator trusts the compass even amid the storm, so too does the person who tunes and follows their inner compass walk with serenity, purpose, and confidence, discovering that true fulfillment lies in serving, growing, and living in harmony with the whole. Make peace and purpose your central intention, and life will invariably respond with order, meaning, and well-being in all areas of your existence. Chapter 12, Universal Intention, Unity with Infinite Power. In the development of human consciousness, there inevitably comes a moment when the individual, after exploring and understanding the mechanisms of personal intention, perceives that their desire, however genuine and elevated it may be, does not exist in isolation or separation. Rather, it is embedded in a far greater current, the current of universal intention, the divine will that sustains, guides, and directs the process of life itself. This revelation, far from diminishing the value of individual intention, grants it its true significance and highest power, for it allows the conscious man or woman to recognize that their purposes, to be fruitful and stable, must align with the laws that govern the well-being of the whole. Just as each drop of water contains the essence of the ocean, but only finds its strength and destiny by flowing with the sea, so too does personal intention gain meaning and potency when it joins, without conflict or contradiction, the universal intention, the creative, generous, and harmonious impulse of the infinite. In daily life, this understanding manifests in the way you orient your goals, desires, and dreams. Ask yourself frequently, does my intention contribute to the common good, promote harmony, peace, and the expansion of love and intelligence around me, or does it arise solely from selfish ambition, fear, or the desire for separation? The intentions that thrive and endure are not those that seek only personal benefit, but those that, consciously or unconsciously, harmonize with the current of general good. It is the law of sowing and harvesting in its broadest dimension. Everything that promotes life, health, prosperity, and peace for many returns multiplied. That which excludes, divides, or impoverishes others eventually exhausts itself and disappears. Thus, truly powerful intention is that which is guided by the compass of the infinite, which asks, In every decision, does this contribute to the order and progress of all? The parables handed down through spiritual traditions illustrate this truth with simplicity and depth. Consider the image of the body and its members, so common in biblical teaching and among ancient sages. Just as the body is one yet has many members, and all the members, though many, constitute a single body, so it is with life. When the hand acts for its own benefit, forgetting the rest of the body, it soon discovers that its well-being depends on the health of the whole. Similarly, the individual who seeks to harmonize personal intention with universal intention discovers a peace and effectiveness that transcend solitary effort and allow participation with joy in the creative work of the universe. Collective prayer is another fundamental resource for experiencing this unity. There is no force more transformative than many minds intending the common good together. When two or more gather in spirit and purpose to ask, affirm and visualize peace, prosperity, or healing, not only for themselves but for the community, the nation, or all humanity, they create an energetic field that exponentially multiplies the possibility of manifestation. Numerous testimonies and historical experiences attest to the power of group prayer, families overcoming crises, communities rebuilding after adversity, nations rising from despair through the unified intention of their members. This principle is neither magical nor mysterious. It responds to the law of resonance, by which similar vibrations combine and amplify, opening paths where isolated will alone encounters insurmountable limits. In personal life, alignment with universal intention is strengthened through affirmations and prayers that recognize unity with infinite power. Dedicate a few minutes each day to declare, "My life is an expression of universal good. My intentions are aligned with the divine will that desires my expansion and happiness. Everything I do contributes to the growth, peace, and prosperity of all. I am united with the infinite power of intelligence, love, and abundance. I trust that every step is guided and supported by the greater current of good." These affirmations, repeated sincerely and in contemplation, not only reprogram the subconscious for success and fulfillment, but also elevate consciousness and position the individual within the flow of opportunities, encounters, and meaningful coincidences that occur only when personal mind cooperates with the greater order. The sense of unity with infinite power frees one from anxiety, fear, and obsession with control. The individual no longer struggles against the current or relies on solitary effort, but acts from the certainty that a higher wisdom orders, organizes, and provides all that is necessary at every moment. Burdens lighten, inspiration becomes frequent, and solutions appear in unexpected ways. Those who live in this awareness learn to bless the success of others, to celebrate the good of others, and to trust that every authentic victory enriches the whole and multiplies for both personal and collective benefit. By recognizing that your personal intention is a wave in the vast ocean of universal intention, you regain a sense of belonging, purpose, and trust in the flow of life. Every limitation, every fear of scarcity or solitude fades as you understand that you are a co-creator with the infinite, and that the force animating the entire universe supports your steps when you act in harmony with the greater good. Close each day with a prayer of unity. Today I unite with universal intention. I ask and affirm the good for all. I desire the expansion and joy of every being. May my life be a channel of peace, love, and prosperity. I trust that every sincere wish finds its course in the current of the infinite. Thank you, for it is already so. Make this consciousness of humility the foundation of your daily intentions, and you will experience in every area of your life the strength, peace, and fulfillment that arise only when cooperating with infinite power, knowing oneself to be one with the divine will that longs for the good of all creation. Chapter 13. Practical Method. How to set and fulfill your intentions. After exploring the fundamentals of the law of intention and its applications in the mind, health, prosperity, relationships, and higher purpose, it becomes essential to condense this knowledge into a clear, simple, and verifiable method that allows the reader to consciously and systematically establish, plant, nurture, and harvest intentions in any area of life. Inner transformation, although it begins on the level of understanding, is only fully realized through regular practice, constant repetition, and disciplined use of the mental and spiritual resources revealed throughout this book. Step 1. Precisely formulate your intention. The subconscious mind responds with exactness to the orders it receives, but cannot act effectively on vague, contradictory, or negatively framed desires. Take a few minutes of calm reflection to define clearly what you wish to experience. Choose an area of life, health, prosperity, love, professional fulfillment, or peace of mind, and write an affirmative phrase in the present tense that expresses your intention as if it were already a fulfilled reality. Examples: I live in perfect health and well-being. Abundance flows constantly in my life. My relationships are harmonious and fulfilling. My work is a source of joy, success, and service. Keep this formulation brief, positive, specific, and personally meaningful. Step 2. Plant the intention in the subconscious mind. This is done through visualization, repetition, and autosuggestion. Each morning and night, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and imagine the scene of your desired experience. Picture yourself already living it. Feel the emotions associated with it, engage all your senses, and above all, accept the outcome as true. Visualization transforms the idea into an image, and the image into vibratory energy that begins organizing reality around your intention. Step 3. Nourish the intention. Feed your intention with daily affirmations, nightly repetition, and active rejection of contrary thoughts. Affirmations should be stated in a relaxed state, preferably before sleep and upon waking, moments when the subconscious mind is most receptive. Repeat with conviction. Each day my health improves. Prosperity is my natural state. I am surrounded by people who value and respect me. Success accompanies me in all my endeavors. If doubts, fears, or negative memories arise, do not fight them. Simply replace them with your positive affirmation with patience and serenity. Make nightly repetition a sacred ritual. Say or think the intention, visualize the goal achieved, and give thanks in advance for the result. In this transitional state, the mind records images and commands more deeply, facilitating the gestation of a new reality. Step 4. Observe, give thanks, and adjust. Pay attention to changes, opportunities, ideas, and coincidences that begin to manifest in your life as a response to the new mental planting. Keep a daily record of your progress. Celebrate each small achievement and express gratitude for every sign of advancement. If you notice resistance, blockages, or partial results, review the clarity of your intention, the intensity of your emotion, and the consistency of your practice. Adjust your formulation if necessary, but do not abandon the process at the first difficulty. Every seed needs time, care, and perseverance before it bears fruit. Daily application example. Suppose your intention is to improve health. Formulate the affirmation: I enjoy vitality, energy, and perfect balance in my body. Each morning upon waking, close your eyes and visualize yourself already healthy, performing the activities you wish, feeling well-being and joy. Repeat the affirmation firmly and give thanks for the health you are receiving. During the day, whenever a contrary symptom or thought arises, repeat mentally: well-being is my natural state. My body obeys my mind. Before sleeping, visualize your body full of light, renewed and strong, resting with the certainty that the intention is germinating invisibly. Similarly, if your goal is prosperity, affirm, money and opportunities flow to me effortlessly. Visualize abundant scenes. Imagine your bank account growing. Celebrate each income, however small, and bless all that circulates in your life. For personal relationships, use affirmations such as, my connections are harmonious and enriching. I attract like-minded, loyal, and loving people. Visualize pleasant conversations, joyful gatherings, and acts of mutual understanding. Make gratitude and forgiveness habitual exercises. Give thanks for lessons received and release all complaints or resentment. In professional life, affirm, my talent is recognized and rewarded. Each day I advance toward higher goals. Visualize completed projects, praise received, and a positive work environment. Repeat your intentions before important meetings, interviews, or negotiations, and trust that the infinite intelligence guides each step. Summary of the practical method. Define your intention clearly in the present tense and affirmatively. Plant the intention through visualization and autosuggestion twice daily. Nourish the intention with daily affirmations and nightly repetition. Observe, give thanks, and adjust your practice according to partial results. Persevere until the new reality manifests and stabilizes in your experience. This sustained process, practiced with discipline and trust, transforms not only specific circumstances, but the deep structure of consciousness, releasing latent capacities and aligning your life with the natural flow of good harmony and expansion. Final blessing and exhortation. May every intention you plant with faith and gratitude find fertile ground in your mind and bear abundant fruit in every area of your life. May the creative power within guide, inspire, and sustain you at all times. And may, as you become master of your intentions, you also be a source of good, peace, and prosperity for those around you. Remember, the greatest gift of life is the power to choose and fulfill your intentions. Use this gift with wisdom, consistency, and love, and witness, without surprise, how the entire universe responds to your creative word, making your life a work worthy of being lived, shared, and celebrated.